Hi, this is Terry Bach, and welcome to the Rewrite Your Money Story series. So, in the work that I do, I see a lot of people who have financial fear. And what I mean by that is they're so paralyzed by this fear and this anxiety about their money that they're frozen and they're not able to really act on either getting out of debt or earning more money because they're so paralyzed in this fear. So I have brought together some amazing experts on the topic of financial fear. And each of our experts will be talking about this from their specific and very unique point of view. Today I've invited Bob Doyle as our expert. Bob is an international speaker, a #1 best-selling author, a serial entrepreneur, and his flagship business, Wealth Beyond Reason, earned his spot as the featured law of attraction expert in the worldwide phenomenon, The Secret. Bob has several passion ventures in broadcasting and virtual reality as well. He's a voiceover talent and host of the Bob Doyle Show, the Dodcast, and No More Secrets podcasts. After 20 years of teaching the law of attraction, Bob is returning to the most basic approaches without all the complicated techniques with his No More Secrets book, podcast, and coaching. Welcome, Bob.
Thanks, Terry. It's great to be here. Good subject matter.
Yes, it is. And something I'm sure you ran across as well.
Once or twice.
Yeah. So how did you end up teaching the law of attraction principles in the first place?
Well, my whole life was going in the direction of broadcasting, which is why I'm so happy that I'm doing it now. But I definitely took a long period of time off because I studied to do it. I worked a little bit in radio in college. And then when I got out of college, I was working for a major market radio station. And what happened was, because it was a bigger station, I, as a sort of a beginner in the industry, I didn't have the creative control or I couldn't do what I wanted to do. Right.
Okay.
And I am a person, like I think most people, who really, we want to express ourselves in the world. Where if we don't do that, we start to feel like we're just withering on the vine, and then we get worried and depressed and fear, all of these things that we're going to be talking about. So much of it comes from an inability to express who we are for whatever reason. Okay. Right. And so I was struggling with what to do with my life after I kind of felt like derailed from, what I thought I wanted to do. Long story short, I started looking for answers. I became a seeker like a lot of people, which led me to information about the law of attraction. Then I had to get through all the skepticism and the analysis. And is this for real? What is this new age, whatever? Till I got to the science piece of it. And then I was satisfied that this was a real thing and not necessarily, even though it's categorized in the new age and there's a lot of misinformation about it, I got it. And so I was able to flip a switch in my head, start getting some results with it. And because I had already had some online experience creating programs, mostly in the area of fitness, but I knew how to do stuff. I knew how to create and teach online. So I put together a program called Wealth Beyond Reason, which you mentioned. Right. And that was out for about 3 years. And then when Rhonda Byrne, who produced and created The Secret, was on her own search for information, she found that program, thus me, and that's how I ended up.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's hanging in there.
Yeah. People still talk about it and mention it in other things too.
Yeah.
So why do you think, I know part of what I've heard when I hear people talking about The Secret is the law of attraction piece, and really, why do you think people struggle with having the law of attraction work for them?
Well, if a person learns about the law of attraction from something like The Secret or the book or any sort of like, hey, I learned about the law of attraction suddenly. It sounds really great. You mean I can create anything I want and all of that. And what most people do when they hear that and they get excited about it is, how can I use this to solve all my problems?
Right.
A natural response, especially given how we are wired in society to solve problems and find them. Right. So we're going to focus all of our attention on solving our problems. So what we're doing really is shifting all of our attention on our problems and waiting for them to go away with this new magical thing we learned called the law of attraction. So we do our vision boards and we visualize and we do all the things we're supposed to do. But then we're still noticing the absence of the thing because we're wanting this thing to solve our problem. So even though we may spend a few minutes a day or an hour a day in the right vibration, if you will, to make the law of attraction work, the rest of the day we're sitting there waiting for it to happen, wondering why it's not happening, wishing it would happen faster, and basically we're filled with doubt, and we're making a statement to the universe that says this isn't here. That's one reason.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the reason though that we do that is the most important reason. The reason we do that is what I mentioned before. We're wired to do it. We grow up in a society that is permeated with beliefs in limitation and lack, poverty mindset, deserving, all this stuff that has nothing to do with how the universe really works. So our brains are wired to look for problems and think negatively and doubt ourselves. And so that is the reason we struggle with transformation in general, because it's not just about learning a new idea. We also have to start changing our wiring.
Right. Because the brain, is looking, and I've read somewhere that it also is, tends to go to the negative before.
Again, yes. And but I'm going to say that's not our natural, that's not how we were born to do.
Right.
That's what we're learned to do because the world in general goes to the negative.
Yes.
And our parents, sometimes with the best intentions, right, create these ideas of limitation and lack, and don't try this, you might be disappointed, or that's not safe, or that's not what we do in our family, any of that stuff. They're trying to, for the most part, make you safe, but what they're really doing is cutting off your access to an unbelievable future, and the wiring gets in place.
And they probably learned it from their parents. And
of course.
Yeah. Okay.
So hopefully over the course of generations, we're growing, we're expanding, and I think we're going in the right direction. And in that way, I think The Secret made a huge impact, because literally millions of people who had never thought about this kind of stuff before were at least thinking about it.
Exactly.
Which is the start,
yeah. So I know that you have more recently kind of shifted your direction, I guess, from quantum physics and all of that kind of stuff, that energy science, to going basics. So can you tell us more about that? Yeah.
So I really built my career on teaching the science piece of this and grounding it and making it accessible to people who were like me, they would love to believe that we can create our lives or experience a reality with our thoughts, right? Yeah. But show me some science, right? So that's why it was very important to me to teach that. It helped me bridge the gap, and I thought it would help others too. And then that was one level of complication. I was really trying to make it simpler so that people could get over the resistance around, is this a thing, and just start concentrating on the work. But then after The Secret came out, everybody and their grandmother had a law of attraction program. And most of them weren't any good, because they didn't address what really it is. They just, I like that. I like the concept I learned in that movie. I get it. I'll teach it.
Right.
So the marketplace was filled with oversimplified stuff that just got everybody frustrated because it didn't work. And then they thought, I see, it's just a scam. Right. So the complication that arose after The Secret is one of the things that it changed my life. I mean, career, how I did my job. Instead of just teaching a bunch of willing minds, it was like undoing all these myths, right? So
interesting.
Going back, so let me just say, to answer your question specifically, about a year ago, I picked up The Science of Getting Rich, 100 years old, Wallace D. Wattles. It's the book that inspired The Secret. It's the book that Rhonda Byrne was given, where she said, wow, I want to learn more about this. So this was really the catalyst. So a year ago, I picked it up again after not reading it for about 20 years. And it was like the simplicity of it just whacked me. It was like, I can't believe I didn't see this before. I was just trying to overcomplicate it like everybody else. So I saw it in a whole new light. I really started making a daily study of it, like wake up at 5 and study it for an hour, like every day, underlining over and over, same stuff. Because there's an immense amount of stuff in there, but it really gets down to how simple it is, which is basically, we live in an ocean of energy, this formless stuff, as they call it in the book. And we impress this formless substance with our thoughts, and energy goes into motion to bring us into alignment with that. But the reality of the situation is, because we complicated things, and because of the nature of our society and the way that we're wired, we complicate that process. And so it seems like it doesn't work, but it's actually working perfectly. We're just not in control of our thoughts because of our chaotic wiring.
Yeah.
So I'm wanting to bring the simplicity back, so that people can stop worrying about getting it wrong or memorizing all these techniques.
Exactly. Exactly. Because it does seem like the way we've been taught, it doesn't work because we're not doing it in the way that it was meant to happen.
Right. That
Yeah.
ideally it's effortless. Truly. Everything
Exactly.
else in the universe grows and life
Mm-hmm.
expands without effort. You don't hear grass going, come on, grow. Right.
True.
We're the ones. So this gift that we've been given with our mind and
Mm-hmm.
intelligence and passions and emotions and everything we need to create our experience of reality, it's a super powerful reality creation mechanism. It is why we are here. But it's gotten out of control because we've lost control of our own brain. So we have to rein back in that control.
So how do people go about rewiring their brains so that the law of attraction really does work?
Sure, and effortlessly. That's the
And
key.
without effort, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So first of all, we have to be, like we talked about at the beginning, instead of being guided by the problems that we're trying to solve, we need to be focusing on a vision of who we truly want to be, because who we're being right now is what has attracted what we're trying to change.
Exactly.
So if we want something dramatically different in our lives, we have to change who we're being. And it's more important to know who you're going to be than what you're going to have, because if we go there first with what we're going to have, we're probably trying to solve a problem, scratch some sort of an itch. So if we can decide who is this that wants this, and what does this person really want, you might find that the vision of the external stuff actually shifts when you're really clear on what's truly important to you. But the trick is, as soon as you start changing your vision of who you're going to be, you're up against years of your wiring. And all of your wiring says, you're not that, you can't be that, and here's a zillion reasons why, right? Because you've attracted all the evidence you need to support who you've been being.
Exactly.
So in order to start changing that wiring, we first have to be conscious that there is wiring, that is why we're behaving this way. That's why we automatically go to the fear and the negative about money, for example. We're conditioned to do it. It is natural and it seems logical. To worry about it. Oh my God, if I don't worry about it, then how am I ever going to fix it? Is that working for you? No, but I got to keep worrying about it. It's just, there's no logic to the wiring. It's just the wire. So the first step is to notice, hey, when we get into that panic, when we get into that fear, the ability to stop and to get into observation mode instead of experience mode and say, look, it's my programming at work. It's just wiring. Now, this is who I've been being. Who would I rather be? And how would that person respond to this situation? How would I love to respond to a bill? How would I love to respond to a bill, right? Yay. Well, thank goodness for the power that keeps my house warm. Whatever. Being grateful for those things. Sure. Totally counterintuitive, because your wiring says, this is ridiculous. What are you, grateful for a bill? It's possible to be grateful for a bill.
Right.
It's possible to feel just about anything.
But you have to train yourself to do that.
Correct. You have to change the wiring. And to do that, to stick with that process, number one, you really got to want it, because you are going to come up against that wiring, and you got to have support.
Right.
Because it's just you, your whole life, bringing you to this point. Well, as soon as you hit your wiring, you can know everything. All the logic around this can be right in front of you. However, if you don't get the support to keep your direction, to keep your mind going in the right direction, it's your old wiring will and almost always does take over, which is why there's like a 93% failure rate in the personal development industry. If you don't acknowledge that the reason that this is uncomfortable, the reason that this seems hard, whatever the transformation is that you're wanting to achieve, it's just because you're going against biology. Right. If you don't know that, you feel like the universe is against you. The universe doesn't want this for me, which I hear all the time, which is such unbelievable nonsense. The universe is not judging your desire. It's wanting you to have it. It's only your wiring and your programming that's slowing the process down.
Okay. So the way that people would rewire their brains is to stop themselves then when they're thinking, like you were giving the example of looking at a bill and having anxiety about it. So do they just keep over and over saying, okay, how else would I rather feel about this bill?
It's going to be kind of an over and over thing, because we have over and over the course of our lives unconsciously programmed ourselves. So it's going to take some repetition. It's going to take some persistence. But because it's conscious, and because we can infuse as much energy into that as we want, we can accelerate that process. So it doesn't have to take as many years to rewire as it did to wire.
True. True, because we're more conscious of it.
Conscious. And we can take action. We can move our bodies. We can physically change everything about ourselves. Even just changing our state when we're in that moment, chances are we're probably clenched, we're hunched, we're contracted. So we expand our body, we change our physicality, we change our energy, and everything does change. We embody the person that we would like to be, right? And again, it's going to feel weird at first. You're going to feel goofy, but you just keep doing it. And eventually, when you're rewired, you will look back at the old way that you're currently thinking and not understand how you could possibly think that way. Just as feeling abundant and worry-free about money seems foreign right now because of your wiring. But when the wiring changes, it'll be the other way around.
So you mentioned one of the things that's helpful is to have support. So how do people get support?
Well, you absolutely have to find some kind of a community or a coach who is a stand for you. Because most of the time, our friends and family who are around us, we've attracted by who we've been being. That's how they know you. Exactly the limit. They're not going to be the ones to support you long term, because as soon as you start growing out of their energy, basically, there's going to be resistance. There's going to be some sort of fallback from that. And sometimes relationships fall away or they evolve and people get really uncomfortable with that. But it's absolutely essential, if you're going to maintain this higher vibration, if you will, that you surround yourself with other people. And coaching is I think, a trained coach, professional, someone who knows what they're doing, is key. And a lot of people balk at coaching because of the investment or whatever. But it's like, I get it. Again, that's just conditioning, though. But you want to look at these people and go, you have spent tens of thousands of dollars on education, et cetera, to get you wired in this way that you are not happy with. You invest in coaching for a little while and you get intentional. It's the best investment you can make. Now, I resisted it. I was a big resistor of coaching because I know this already. Why do I need a coach, right? Once I finally got over that, and started and started getting somebody else, because we cannot see what we cannot see about ourselves. Because of our wiring. We must get someone who knows what they're doing to reflect this back and say, well, this is what you're saying and this is what you're doing. Exactly. And it takes that accountability. It takes that somebody to be a stand for you. And I love group coaching. I am one-on-one coaching, whatever, some sort of consistent support where there is someone who will be a stand for you while you're doing this rewiring.
Okay. Sounds like a good plan because we do need that support. You're right. And coaching is a great way to get that support and somebody who's really on your side and trying to help you make those changes, which is. Yeah.
But you gotta, I do want to say this just as a caveat, you gotta vet your coach. I mean, don't just take any coach.
No.
It's absolutely. Like there's got to be a vibe. Like I could talk to somebody, I could be very excited, bring somebody in, and we always have some sort of a talk first. And if it's not a vibe, it's not a vibe, right? I mean, you got to know that that person gets you and is in alignment with you, and that you're going to enjoy working. But also that they're not going to be a pushover, and they're not there to be nice and say yay you with everything you do, right? Exactly. You got to have someone who's going to push you through that comfort zone.
I totally agree with that. So, Bob, you have a free gift for our audience. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, so I mentioned The Science of Getting Rich. Now, this book, like I said, has been around 100 years.
It's a great book. I've read it. It's a great book.
Yeah, it's a must read, and I think multiple times. And so I give that away to basically everybody I talk to now about this and say, I don't care if you read it 30 times, read it again and don't try to analyze it. Just freaking read it. And I've got along with that, I have another program where I break down chapter by chapter in video form, like really dig into it. But as part of the gift, I give away a chapter on gratitude. That there's a chapter on gratitude in the book, and I chose that one because gratitude, if there's any secret weapon in this whole thing, it's gratitude, which is a very common, almost cliche conversation in these types of situations. But energetically and otherwise, it is just a very, very powerful force of nature, gratitude is. And you really understand that when you read The Science of Getting Rich, which is why I chose that chapter to share from the program for free so that people can really get, like, if there's nothing else you do, incorporate gratitude into your day and watch your life change. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
just creating a gratitude list or whatever. It's like really understanding why gratitude brings you to that point of creation faster than anything else. So that's in there as well. And we
Okay.
talked about coaching, and I
Mm-hmm.
want everybody to have the opportunity to assess for themselves if coaching is a fit. So I'm giving everybody a coaching consultation. It's not necessarily a full-blown session. It is a, let's see if coaching is for me. This is my situation. Is it a fit? But everyone should at least try it out. It's
Mm-hmm.
not, there's no obligation, there's no charge. It's just, does this feel good to me? Does this the kind of support that's going to move me to the next level? And if it's not, it's not, because I don't think it is for everyone. I would never say that. I think
Right.
everyone can benefit from it, but not everybody's going to say, yeah, that's for me. But I would like everybody
Exactly.
to at least have the chance to say, yeah, this feels good, or no, not so much right now. So
Mm-hmm.
all of that is what I'm giving, because I think that
Wonderful.
if they incorporate that book into their everyday life, if they get the gratitude piece, and if they explore coaching, they are well on their way to
Okay.
rewiring, to get away from this habitual panic around paralyzation around money, for example. But it could be anything.
Right, exactly. Okay. And for the audience, you just need to click on the button below this video and it'll take you right to Bob's gift. Okay, so Bob, thank you so much for being on the Rewrite Your Money Story series. And also to our audience for being here. We couldn't do this without you. And be sure you stay tuned to tomorrow's interview where another expert will be sharing her unique point of view about financial fear. Thanks, and I'll see you tomorrow.